A Lost Paradise. In the middle of a great forest there lived a long time ago a charcoal burner and his wife. They were both young and handsome and strong, and when they got married, they thought work would never fail them. But bad times came, and they grew poorer and poorer, and the nights in which they went hungry to bed became more and more frequent. Now one evening the king of that country was hunting near the charcoal burner's hut. As he passed the door he heard the sound of sobbing, and being a good-natured man he stopped to listen, thinking that perhaps he might be able to give some help.
"Were there ever two people so unhappy?" said a woman's voice. "Here we are, ready to work like slaves the whole day long, and no work can we get. It is all because of the curiosity of old Mother Eve. If she had only been like me, who never want to know anything, we should all be as happy as kings today, with plenty to eat and warm clothes to wear. Why—"
At this point a loud knock interrupted her lamentations.
"Who's there?"
"I," replied somebody.
"And who is I?"
"The king. Let me in." Full of surprise, the woman jumped up and pulled the bar away from the door. As the king entered, he noticed that there was no furniture in the room at all, not even a chair. So he pretended to be in too great a hurry to see anything around him, and only said, "You must not let me disturb you. I have no time to stay, but you seem to be in trouble. Tell me, are you unhappy?"
"Oh, my lord, we can find no work and have eaten nothing for 2 days," answered she. "Nothing remains for us but to die of hunger."
"No, no, you shan't do that," cried the king, "or if you do, it will be your own fault. You shall come with me into the palace, and you will feel as if you were in paradise, I promise you. In return, I only ask one thing of you, that you shall obey my orders exactly." The charcoal burner and his wife both stared at him for a moment, as if they could hardly believe their ears, and indeed it was not to be wondered at, when they found their tongues, and exclaimed together,
Oh yes, my lord, we will do everything you tell us. How could we be so ungrateful as to disobey you when you are so kind?"
The king smiled, and his eyes twinkled. "Well, let us start at once," he said. "Lock your door, and put the key in your pocket." The woman looked as if she thought this was needless, seeing as it was quite certain they would never come back, but she dared not to say so, and did as the king told her. After walking through the forest for a couple of miles, they all three reached the palace. By the king's orders, servants led the charcoal burner and his wife into rooms filled with beautiful things, such as they had never even dreamed of. First they bathed in green marble baths where the water looked like the sea, and then they put on silken clothes that felt soft and pleasant. When they were ready, one of the king's special servants entered and took them into a small hall where dinner was laid, and this pleased them better than anything else. They were just about to sit down to the table when the king walked in. "I hope you have been attended to properly," said he, "and that you will enjoy your dinner. My steward will take care of all you want, and I wish you do exactly as you please. But, by and by, the one thing. You notice that the soup tureen is in the middle of the table. Well, be careful on no account to lift the lid. If you take the lid off the cover, there is the end of your good fortune." And then, bowing to his guests, he left the room. "Did you hear what he said?" inquired the coal burner in an awe-stricken voice. "We're to have what we want, and what we want to do and to please. We only must not touch the soup tureen."
"No, of course we won't," answered the wife. "Why should we wish to? But all the same, it is rather odd, and one can't help wondering what is inside."
For many days life went on like a beautiful dream to the charcoal burner and his wife. Their beds were so comfortable they could hardly make up their minds to get up, Their clothes were so lovely they could scarcely bring themselves to take them off. Their dinners were so good that they found it very difficult to leave off eating. Then outside the palace were gardens filled with rare flowers and fruits and singing birds, or if they desired to go further, a golden coach painted with wreaths of forget-me-nots and lined with blue satin awaited their orders. Sometimes it happened that the king came to see them, and he smiled as he glanced at the man, who was getting rosier and plumper each day. But when his eyes rested on the woman, they took on a look which seemed to say, "I knew it," though neither of the charcoal burner or his wife ever noticed. "Why are you so silent?" said the man one morning when dinner had passed before his wife had uttered one word. "A little while ago you used to be chattering all day long, and now I've almost forgotten the sound of your voice."
"Oh, nothing. I did not feel inclined to talk, that is all."
She stopped, and added carelessly after a pause,
"Don't you ever wonder what is in the soup tureen?"
"No, never," replied the man. "It is no affair of ours." And the conversation dropped once more. But as time went on, the woman spoke less and less, and seemed so wretched that her husband grew quite frightened about her. As to her food, she refused one thing after another. "My dear wife," said the man at last, "you really must eat something. What in the world is the matter with you? If you go on like this, you will die."
"I'd rather die than not know what is in that tureen,"
she burst so violently that her husband was quite startled. "Is that it?" he cried. "Are you making yourself miserable because of that? Why, we could turn it out of the palace and be sent away to starve."
No, we wouldn't. The king is too good-natured. Of course he didn't mean a little thing like this. Besides, there's no need to lift the lid off altogether. Just raise one corner so that I may peep. We're quite alone, and nobody will know."
The man hesitated. It did seem like a little thing, and if it was to make his wife contented and happy, it was well worth the risk. So he took hold of the handle of the cover and raised it very slowly and carefully, while the woman stooped down to peep. Suddenly she started back with a scream, for a small mouse had sprung from the inside of the tureen and had nearly hit her in the eye. Round and round the room it ran, round and round they both ran after it, knocking down chairs and vases in their efforts to catch the mouse and put it back in the tureen. In the middle of all the noise, the door opened, and the mouse ran out between the feet of the king. In one instant, both the man and his wife were hiding under the table, and to all appearance the room was empty. "You may as well come out," said the king. "I hear what I have to say." "I know what it is," answered the charcoal burner, hanging his head. "The mouse has escaped." "A guard of soldiers will take you back to your hut," said the king. "Your wife has the key."
"Weren't they silly?"
cried the grandchildren of the charcoal burners when they heard the story.
"How we wish that we had had a chance. We would have never wanted to know what was in the soup tureen."